All right, all right. Welcome in to the Hoops Rehab Show. How you doing, Eric?
Doing good. Doing real good. It's a fun game tonight.
Yeah. That was the fourth in overtime. It's pretty damn good. We are now how many hours post Lakers being out of the postseason?
48 hours or so ish, a little less.
48 hours. And within those 48 hours, there's already an article out talking about how bad it was with LeBron James that we're going to get into. So we're going to obviously get into the Cavs recap. We're going to get into that LeBron article and then do a little preview for the Spurs and Timberwolves. But before we get started, if you are on the live, go ahead and hop in the chat. You can drop your comments in the YouTube or the X chat. Let us know what your thoughts are on the playoffs and everything going on. All right, Eric, let's get this cracking. So we had a 2-2 matchup in the Eastern Conference. You have the Cavs that have won 6 at home. They've lost 5 on the road.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at the scoring difference. It was like 118 at home, 100 on the road, right?
Wow.
And you get to this fourth quarter, and the Pistons go on this massive run and essentially go up by 9. And you're like, okay, that's it. They're not going to do anything. They're not moving the ball well. They're turning it over. Ashur Thompson's kind of all over Donovan Mitchell. And then, boom, you get a couple buckets for Donovan Mitchell. You get a Strauss 3. All of a sudden, you're tied up, and they take the lead. And then they tie up and go to overtime, right? So what were your thoughts on the game in general and, like, what you saw out of the Cavs?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it there, as you mentioned earlier. They were struggling on the road, and so it seemed like it was kind of gearing up to being another L with at least 2.5 minutes to go, down 9. And there's a lot of times that we get on James Harden, for his kind of a lack of play in some of these playoff games. So I think he definitely deserves some praise tonight. He definitely balled out. Obviously a huge 30 points. Didn't shoot it particularly well from the 3, but obviously, he's there to score and play make, and he definitely did that today. And so, yeah, I mean, in these series that go like this sometimes where the home team wins the first 2, the road team wins the next 2, you still feel like the home team is whoever has home court advantage has they're still in a good spot because they have 2 of 3 at home.
Yeah.
But as we know, that game 5 is huge. And so I don't know. I'm starting, like, sometimes we kind of complicate things. Is this, in your opinion, just as simple as Cavs have more guys that can beat you versus the Pistons? We see that obviously Cade Cunningham, he had 39, so he did what he could. But it's in terms of offensive explosiveness, it's 2-1, right, with Mitchell and Harden versus Cade. So
yeah,
like should we not overcomplicate it and just say it's kind of simple as that right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think they just have more firepower. I think what hurt Detroit a lot was just not having Duncan Robinson, right? He's been a pure shooter for them, able to space the floor out well. I think that's part of it. And then I've been kind of preaching this whole postseason is that Detroit's had some nice players. Tobias Harris has been chipping in, obviously doing really well, averaging 20 in the playoffs. You get you get Durant here and there, but you really don't have a bona fide number 2. And that is the difference in the playoffs. Yeah. And that's what Cleveland has. And they also have some other really good players like Evan Mobley, Jared Allen. So I just think, you got that 2 against 1 combo, albeit maybe Cade Cunningham is probably better than the 2, but
yes,
2 is better than 1, Eric.
Yes,
if I know anything about math.
Yeah. Last time we checked. Yeah. So sure, if we're ranking those 3 players, we're going to put, Cade 1, but obviously, those guys are if you're just talking about an individual game, you always got to be worried because one of them can go off. And so that's kind of what happened tonight. We'll see. I mean, Detroit won a big game 6 in their last series on the road in Orlando. So
they've been down.
Put them to bed quite yet. I think they have a decent chance to bring it back to Detroit, but obviously Cleveland, it's hard to win a game 7 on the road, and they handled business, and now it's in front of them. I mean, for a team that has definitely underachieved, and maybe like when we thought they were going to be good, they've kind of been their worst, and so they have it right there in front of them. Will we see the same Cleveland team we've seen the past few years and kind of fall under the pressure, or will we see a team get to the Eastern Conference Finals finally? It's going to be jam packed. It's going to be popping over there, and so interested to see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, they're undefeated at home, right? So it'll be a big game 6 for them. I will say, like you said, though, Detroit has been down so far in this playoffs, right? They were down 3-1, came back. Obviously, that big game 6 they had to win, dominated the second half, held Orlando to 19 points. So we know they can do it. But right now they're playing with their food, man. You had a game 5 on your home court. You have to win that game. It shows their youth. It shows that they don't have a bona fide number 2. And I think ultimately that's what's going to derail them in this playoffs, right? Now, when you're looking at matchups, because you already got New York in there, is there a matchup that you want to see more versus the Knicks? Or is it, you don't really care between the two?
It's kind of weird. Like I think in total, I think Cleveland is just a little better, but in terms of like from a pure just entertainment kind of thing, I did like enjoy that Knicks and Detroit series last year. I think we talked about it a couple of days ago, that first round series, and I think it would be fun, exciting. So I think I'd rather still see probably Detroit and Knicks, but I think in terms of maybe potentially going longer the series, I think Cleveland might be the better team to want that. I could see Knicks and Detroit kind of going. I mean, actually, Detroit would get the home court, right? So that's kind of interesting as well, right? And then against Knicks and New York and Cleveland, New York will get the home court advantage. So that's going to be big.
That's true.
But I don't know. It's tough to say. Like I see like Knicks beating Detroit in 5, but it being like a really good 5 games. And then maybe, like I said, Cleveland and Knicks going a little longer. But I mean, obviously, when we get there, we'll give our predictions and all. But I don't really see any of the two teams beating New York, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But and I don't know who would, the way they're playing. But yeah, what about you? What are your thoughts? Like if you had to choose a team,
I kind of soured on Detroit. I feel that they're too up and down. I mean, let's talk about somebody right now, Eric. This guy made the All-Star team, Jalen Duren. Do you want to know how much he's averaging in the series?
Give it to us.
9.4 points.
Yeah. When you got,
Do you want to know how much he averaged in the Orlando series that went 7 games?
Give it to us.
10.6.
Oh, boy. I thought we were going to see a good amount more. I guess not.
Can't be I don't even want to call him a franchise player, but you can't be the bona fide number 2, you're all-star, and you can't even get 10 points in a game. I know he's a old school traditional big where he's just down low. I was looking at his stats and I was like, does he ever shoot threes? He hasn't shot 3 in like 3. He has never made a 3 in his career. So,
so he's definitely your more traditional,
right? Yeah. We knew that. We know he's not a shooter, but he's got to work on his offensive game at some point, right? You can't just make all layups and dunks and maybe a little hook shot here and there. You got to be able to spread the floor in this NBA.
Yeah, you know what I was thinking? Like, kind of switching teams, like with Hartenstein from Thunder. Like, I was thinking, man, like he's like a real true big, and he's kind of what right. But the difference is he's like the number 7 option on Oklahoma City. So you know what I mean. So it's different. Where in the case of Duran, like it's obviously he's their all-star. He's their second, like, quote unquote, best player. Yeah. And so obviously
he also doesn't block shots either. So it's like,
man.
he's averaging 0.8 blocks per game on the season. So like I mean, I know Isaiah Stewart was like more of their block specialist, but I'm like, okay, so you tell me you don't score. He rebounds well. He rebounds
tonight.
He rebounds pretty well.
Yeah.
You're the
what's
second. He's the second coming of Andre Drummond, essentially in Detroit. Like he's what Andre Drummond was, like a big guy that just traditionally can't shoot, can rebound the ball well, and pretty much scores from the block.
Yeah, it's interesting because I'm like, what are the averages of the regular season? So he's a 20-10 guy, and so I just think, in a regular season, you throw in a lot of, Sacramento's and Utah's, right? And Indiana last year. And I think some of those games, and this is not just for him specifically, this is everybody, where maybe the numbers are miscued. And you see it in the playoffs, your weaknesses, if you will, or your inability to do certain things. I mean, it is exploited, right? And if he's only getting 5 shots, I'd be interested to look back and see what he's been doing. Obviously, he's getting 9 points a game, so he must not be taking a bunch of shots. But not to say that his skill set isn't an asset, and I'm sure he's like a bruiser down there. You said Andre Drummond. But I think Detroit has to be realizing that, I mean, he's got to be more of just like if you're talking about options, maybe like a 3 or 4 option, kind of heading into, obviously it's not their off season yet, but heading into that, when and if it happens.
For sure. Yeah. So let's see if the Pistons can do what they did in the first round and come back from being down in the series. I don't put it past them, but I feel like if I'm the Cavs, I take advantage of what we're doing, how we came back in this game, and you go dominate game 6 and move on to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it's not one of these like game 6s where I'm like uber confident in Cleveland. You can tell this series is just kind of neck and neck. And so wouldn't be absolutely shocked, but if you're Cleveland, you gotta handle business if you want to move on to the next round.
For sure. All right. So moving on to the other news of the day here.
We couldn't get how many hours we said? About almost 48 hours.
48 hours.
We couldn't even get to like a week.
We kind of knew there would be some bombshells or some news dropping about how the season went. This season was relatively quiet from a drama standpoint. Like we didn't have too many things that came out that you felt like was pure drama, which we've had in the past. However, Dave McMenamin from ESPN dropped a little piece today about the one time that LeBron stormed out of the locker room, he says. And this was after March 31st when the Lakers beat Cleveland. They just improved the record to 16-2, pretty much the month of March and probably a little bit in early February. Yeah. During that game, Luka Doncic, he got to 15,000 career points. Rui Hachimura got to 5,000 career points. And LeBron became the all-time winningest player in the NBA ever. So JJ Redick's kind of giving out his flowers to everybody. He talks about Luka first. Then he talks about Rui. Then he mentions, one of the greatest players to ever do it, mentions LeBron. Then you see sly Rob Pelinka come in the video. And he's like, wait. We got one more thing. We want to essentially present JJ Redick with the game ball for his 100th victory. And you think, oh, is it 1,000? Is it 2,000? That's 100. It's nice. It's cute. But he also has a video from his family, JJ Redick's sons, talking about how much, how proud he is. We love you, Dad. Yada, yada. Really cute story. Who storms out after this, Eric? Mr. LeBron James with ice on his knees, not even changing to leave the locker room.
He's like, I'm out.
Is this a big story, Eric, or is this just dramatized?
It is interesting. So Dave McMenamin, obviously he saved the story, right? He didn't want to throw it out there probably like on the end of the end of the season and then through a playoff run. And so that's probably his like professionalism and him obviously wanting to stay connected in the league for it to come out now, right? And so I get it. But what I find very interesting is, so you did mention it. So it was the last game in March where they went 16-2. And if you guys remember, the very next game is when the Lakers lost their season. They got demolished by OKC. Was there something in the air maybe heading into that game? Was there kind of some dissatisfaction? If
well, this is
like
day, right? Essentially, it was April 1st.
Yeah. It was 2 days. So the Cleveland game was Monday, and then they played Tuesday, Thursday, or Monday, Wednesday, something like that. Yeah, I think I was looking at it right now. Yeah, it was. So the Cleveland game was a Tuesday, and then OKC a Thursday. But if you want to throw some things out there, it's like, that's interesting. And then obviously Luka got hurt, Austin Reeves got hurt, and so that, like, we didn't know about a lot of these things behind the scenes, so that must have been a pretty kind of tight little time there, elephant in the room type of thing for that time. Do I think it should be overblown in a huge deal? No. I mean, I think it's okay to be upset about something. I mean, I guess I'm sure there's going to be people, and me a little bit, that say, like, LeBron, come on, we've like celebrated like your 10,000, achievements and accomplishments. Like we can't even keep up on all the stuff you're doing, right? Which is great. So maybe there's a little bit of that. Although they did, as you mentioned, JJ Redick did say it right during.
He said it. They all clapped and cheered. I saw the video. It wasn't like, I mean, you couldn't see the players' reactions, but you saw a video of JJ essentially.
So that tells me that the reason I'm asking is because, like, was it possible that they somehow didn't know, but they obviously knew because they talked about it, and so they could have done like maybe a little bit something for him. I mean, 100 games is big. It's a big, for a first time coach. But I hope that's. I mean, obviously that was like a month ago now, or a month and a half ago. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's not much. What about you? Or shouldn't be much.
Hopefully. I would say not much, but when you combine it with how he felt about the Luka trade, like kind of being blindsided in that way, and them wanting to give the franchise to him, how he felt last offseason, where he essentially opted in and decided not to sign a contract extension because of that. How he's felt about Jeannie Buss, and how Jeannie Buss said all that stuff in that previous article this year, about how they've essentially had more of a fractured relationship over the last couple of years or whatnot. So when you're adding all this up, you're saying, I don't know, like, could he go somewhere else? I still feel like Lakers are the option, or the most logical option to continue, because he likes LA. The Lakers are still willing to give him money. It's not like they're not. But there was another piece in this article that, to me, this was the most like kind of weird part of the article, is that the Lakers officials would on occasion partake in a parlor game of sorts during games at Crypto. Sources told ESPN that an onlooker was asked to observe James play for a stretch, disregard his name and age, and evaluate the play to come up with a salary that he would deserve the next season. An attempt to gauge what his fair price was.
Like that would be is that like from the LeBron camp? They did that?
No, this is basically from an anonymous player that said this.
But like I wonder if this observer, maybe there's no sides, but I wonder if this observer would be kind of like siding of like the LeBron. Like, I wonder if the Lakers would ploy this, or the LeBron side. I'm kind of curious, because if it was the Lakers that did it and you threw out age and all that stuff, and you saw what he did, that actually might bite him in the ass, because I think the, like, kind of what a player that, throwing out his name and everything, a player that kind of did what he did last year. Yeah. I mean, it's probably a player that gets paid, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, it's like the whole thing when you go player A and player B, and you just give their stats.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, who's the better player out of this, right? And then you realize that, like, you look at those stats, and you're like, oh shoot, that's actually LeBron James, or that's actually blah 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 blah. And so yeah, it could bite them in the ass because they could realize, like you said last time, and I think I heard George Sedano say in the morning that you, like, when you logically think about it, Austin Reeves getting paid more than LeBron James, but LeBron James being the better player it's hard to think about. Yes, Austin Reeves is younger. Yes, you got to sign him because other people will sign him. But the fact that you would say, hey, LeBron, go take a 50% pay cut while we're going to go pay Austin Reeves another $40-50 million doesn't seem right.
Yeah, it's such a unique situation because you're right. And obviously we know that in other like sports, including and also including the NBA, it's all about timing. There's players that make X amount of dollars and you're like, damn, like that for that player, but he's a good player. Don't get me wrong. But it just, that team they're not going to go and sign free agents. They're not going to, right. It's just not, they're not a free agent destination. So they got to take care of their own. Right. So you see some of that, or the next best receiver that gets paid. You're like, damn, he's the highest paid receiver. Sure. Like, it doesn't mean he's the best receiver. It just means his contract is up. But in this case, you have two people where their contract is up, assuming Austin Reeves opts out, which obviously is a guarantee.
Yeah.
And then also, like, I think you have to throw in the fact that there's the longevity of the contract too. Obviously, Reeves is going to have a longer deal. Honestly, I know we're going to get into a lot like this summer and through this playoffs, but I do not envy it that much, the Lakers front office, because you got us fans like chomping at the bit, like realizing that OKC and San Antonio are just so much better and we got to fix everything now. But in reality, if I read you the free agency list, the unrestricted free agency list, I mean, you'll see that. Is there really players on there?
Give me 5 guys on there.
Let me give you
5 guys that I'm going to say. I'll say, when you say the name, I'll say sign him or not, essentially.
Okay. I'm going to just kind of, like skip through this. My man, Zach LaVine.
Obviously not, Eric.
Sorry, my bad. He will be unrestricted because he's got a player option. Actually, knowing him,
he's probably opting in, bro.
Yeah, knowing him. Sorry, I had it up and it went away, but I got you right now. All right, let's scratch that. Let's do. Obviously, we know LeBron James, CJ McCollum.
No.
My man, Chris Middleton.
Oh, come on, Eric. This is not 10 years ago.
Exactly. I'm reading the names. James Harden. I'll name you more than 5.
You're not going to put Luka and James Harden on the same team.
Fine. We'll go. We want like a little 3-and-D guy, maybe a little bit. Quentin Grimes. Maybe 2-and-D.
Oh, my God. I know if you're listening on the audio podcast tomorrow, you can't see my reaction, but we can't go with Quentin Grimes as a player.
Anthony Simmons. And then I'll give you one more after this.
Another offensive player that doesn't play defense.
Mitchell Robinson.
I got one guy. There you go. That's the only one I would sign. So 1 out of those 5. And right now, if you said, who would you want to sign, LeBron James or those 5 people that you just named, it would be LeBron James every day, every single day, over and over and over. So that's what the Lakers, I think, have to realize. I think if they want to get cute and kind of say, hey, we'll pay you 10 million or 15 million, whatever it is, right? I don't think you should get 50. I think I would be extremely happy if you heard LeBron James signs a deal for 2 years, $50 million, $25 million a year. I think that is fair on both sides. It's, that he's locked in. He plays next year. If his body's not right, he can retire after that, or he plays his final year. I think that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean it's Man, it's tough. I kind of go back and forth. There's days where I'm like, I thank
You
you
want
for
to move
LeBron for
on?
your services. It's time to move on.
Yeah.
But then it's like I don't think there's a magical. I hate to say it, but there's no magical move out there unless there's some trades that happen, which could happen. As far as the players that we know that are available, other than Giannis, there's not like a move that's going to really fill that gap between your Lakers, Nuggets, Minnesota, and OKC and San Antonio. And so if you're going to be a team that's top four, a nice regular season, entertaining, maybe if you catch a lightning in a bottle and you're healthy and you get to the Western Conference Finals and anything could happen. If you're telling me that's kind of the ceiling regardless, the Lakers are going to like think the business side of it too. At the end of the day, I think sometimes we forget that is a business. They're going to love if it's like a retirement tour for LeBron, things of that nature. So again, I'm kind of for either thing as long as it if they don't sign LeBron, you gotta get to work. If you sign LeBron, you got to get to work. And so, we'll have to see. I think what's going to happen is the dust has to settle a little bit. Obviously, when Reeves and LeBron are your very own, you have their bird rights. So ideally, you're going to sign guys first and then sign them. Things are a little different now with the aprons, though. Once you get to that second apron, you're really handcuffed as far as the franchise goes. So there's, again, we're going to chat all summer long and we're going to give our insight, but they got their word cut out for them. That's for sure.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how this all unfolds. And, hey, this is even from all of what we heard that LeBron is going to play next year, right?
Yep.
I mean, he still has to make a decision on whether or not he's playing. But from all accounts, it seemed he doesn't look like a player that is retiring. The way he played in the playoffs, the way he went all out, way he left the court. Usually there's something like if he was leaving the court and it was his last game, you would see it in his face, like see it in his eyes, right? So, it's pretty interesting to see. But
yeah, I mean, lastly, I think the fact that there's not going to be a ton of suitors for him just because of a lot of factors, realizing he's probably not going to come anyways. It's his last year, probably, or two, I guess. We don't have the money ourselves, right? We'd rather, go use it in other directions. So I think that coupled with he lives in LA, it is LA, he's got his family here. Most likely we know what's going to happen. It just hopefully it's the right number. And I just saw another one. Sorry, before we move on, John Collins, I see as another.
Stop.
Yeah. So yeah, I think you guys get the point. There isn't this, 3 or 4 guys that we're going to just magically get and turn this team around. Not saying Lakers shouldn't try to get what you can. Maybe you get hit lighting in a bottle, as I said. Maybe via trade, right? I think that might be their best bet, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge is if you sign Austin for, say he's getting 40 a year, 35 to 40 a year, and then you let go of LeBron, you don't get all that 50-something million in cap space, right? You're probably left with, I don't know. I'm not a capologist, but it's somewhere probably in the 20 to 30 range, right?
Yeah.
Now you go sign Mitchell Robinson, one of these guys, and then you're looking at like a lineup of Mitchell Robinson, Quentin Grimes, Austin Reeves, and Luka.
Ooh.
And are you saying that's a better team? Absolutely not. Yeah. So you got to be damn sure if you're going to let LeBron James go that you have a very good plan to surround Luka and I would assume Austin Reeves with the most talent to survive. And I do like in one sentiment, like you say, is that, I mean, I don't want to necessarily like let LeBron James leave, but moving into the new era, I get it, right? I get like where they would like to, they're tiptoeing into that area, into the era, but they're like, no, we would love LeBron to retire. And that is the last thing I wanted to bring up. Do you think Rob Pelinka is a snake, or like disingenuous kind of in a way, because every press conference from the get-go, he comes out, talks about the history of LeBron James and gosh, we can't wait to have him retire as a Laker. And then he kind of throws little jabs, little things, right? And you hear some stuff that LeBron's maybe not as happy with him and certain things, right? So what are your thoughts on Rob? Like, do you think it seems like a good guy, and he's made some great moves, don't get me wrong, but what are your thoughts on that? What he portrays in the media, is that real or fake?
Yeah, I mean, he kind of like appears like kind of buttoned up, right? And, says the right things when it's got the cameras in front of him. And so I just think like deep down inside, he is an agent.
Sure.
And that's what he was before, true. Right? He was, obviously Kobe's, and that's just kind of his personality. And maybe that personality, got him Luka, right? Like there's little things like that, smart. Right? You gotta kind of have that poker face and say the right things. And so I think you're right. Maybe if we call him a snake, I have no idea. I mean, maybe he really is, or maybe he isn't. But he definitely probably rubs people the wrong way. Yeah. And where you probably maybe can sit in a room with him and he might have an amazing conversation with you. Maybe there's other kind of motives that you kind of see, or he maybe acts different once he gets you, I guess, or whatever, like in LeBron's case. And so, yeah, I just think at the end of the day, and as a sports, as an agent, I think that's just kind of in his blood.
Yeah, true. All right, so we'll obviously have tons of stuff come up probably on the daily.
It's the Lakers.
What's Cam saying here? We got Cam earlier.
Is he going wild?
The Lakers will sign Anthony Davis. I mean, yeah, it's not going to happen unless he's bought out. Yes, if he's bought out, it's not going to happen. But that would be pretty amazing if somehow we can get AD back. Anywho, okay, so let's get to Game 6 preview between the Spurs and the Timberwolves. Eric, I feel like this series is over. I feel like Minnesota has done so much in these playoffs, so much in the last couple of years, but they're finally running out of steam. Anthony Edwards is obviously not in peak health right now. He has no lift anymore. He still can get a shot, and he's doing a great job of that. But San Antonio is doubling him every time he gets the ball. And the reason why they're doing it is to wear his ass down when you get to the fourth quarter. And you saw last game, they wore his ass down in the third. By the time you get to the fourth, it was a 20, 30-point game. And that's my opinion. I feel like it's just they're ready to finish this off. And the last two games, Victor has actually played without being kicked out for elbow. He has dominated.
Yeah. I would say the only upside that Minnesota has, and even Edwards said it, he's like, man, we've been playing every other day. I'm exhausted. I'm not feeling great. Like he was saying that the extra day that they're going to get between games 5 and 6 is a blessing. And obviously there's a difference between saying it and going out and showing it. So I do think that's going to be super helpful for him and them, where, I mean, maybe they could sneak a win, but I do agree. I kind of have San Antonio finishing it off, whether if it's this game or next. A big reason why, as far as a basketball fan, I'd want to see San Antonio versus Minnesota playing OKC, because they'll be so beat. I mean, we saw what happened last year, and they'll be even more beat up. And, obviously you got to give them credit. I think they've done what they could, but yeah, I think I'm pretty much ready to see San Antonio and OKC, the battle of the big boys, starting on Monday.
They'll start talking about if Minnesota wins the series, right, Eric?
Something with San Antonio?
Nope. They'll be talking about OKC having to play all these cupcake teams.
Oh, yes.
I think
year. Lakers were the first 50-win team that they beat. In the
first 50-win team they beat without their superstar, without Luka. And then they would play a broken down Minnesota version.
Yeah.
And then what happened last year? Played Indiana, which wasn't supposed to be there. Tyrese gets hurt in game 3 or 4 or whatever that was, and then tears his Achilles in game 7. And they were down in that game when it happened, right? So I'm not saying that OKC, we've given them praise. We've done a lot with them. But I would much rather see a San Antonio team who whooped their ass during the season, 4-1. You got a alien in Victor Wembanyama, and you want to see that matchup. The NBA is dying to see that matchup with the Lakers going out. So I think it'll be over in 6, especially because San Antonio knows that OKC is obviously has swept and they're just chilling. So they don't want to force a game 7 and have to play OKC right after that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They know. Yeah. So if it ends, I think it'll be Friday. Then the series starts, I believe, Monday, and then if it ends Sunday, the series will start Wednesday, I believe. There's no games tomorrow, right? I don't think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the first time in the playoffs, right? So far.
Yeah.
No games.
Yeah. So if it ends Friday, they'll get a couple of days, and they play Monday. I think that's what I saw. So
yeah,
exactly. I'm sure San Antonio just obviously probably wants to wrap this up and kind of get to the drawing board and get ready for this battle, which will be something.
That's gonna be
got to get there first. But
hell of a series. Like I'm actually looking forward to it right now. So,
it could be a long string of them battling. So
we'll see. This is for the next 5 years. These two teams are going to be going at it, barring any crazy injuries and all that stuff. Yep. Eric, anything you got before we get out of here? That's
it. We'll have to see how the rest of the games go. But
for sure. So we'll be on Friday after the Minnesota San Antonio game. See what happens there. And
I think it's the Detroit game too. The two of them, I think.
Yeah, both of them, right? Yeah. Yep. So the 2 game 6s, and we'll see if there's any schools out summer vacay segments after Friday.
But we'll have at least one.
But until then, Eric, we are out. Hoops Rehab team is out. Peace out, guys.
Peace out, everyone.